Hello everybody, and welcome to the second of my two videos today, the first being Firebase Hydra. If you haven't seen Firebase Hydra, feel free to check out my channel and follow my commentary on that video as well. Now this is the second of the two maps. This map is called Firebase Condor, and as I just said, it's the second of the two maps in the Mass Effect 3 Resurgence DLC pack, which dropped April 10th, that is today, or in the past if you're watching this video later. So, last video when I was finishing up my commentary, I did promise I would talk about the weapons. Again, we do not have access to these weapons, same as we don't have access to these characters, but I will give you guys a little elaboration on them. Basically, there are 3 new weapons that are going to be added in this pack as soon as the DLC, character and weapon packs are released in the credit store, the multiplayer section. These 3 weapons are, and don't quote me on these, I'm not sure of the exact names. There is a new assault rifle, something along the lines of the Saber. I know we already have the Saber in the game, I just think this is a different version of the Saber. The Saber is a semi-automatic rifle. I'm not sure how big the clip size is going to be, but it looks similar to the Avenger, just with a more square-based body and a longer barrel. Now, this gun is semi-automatic. It's very powerful from what I've been told via people who got to mess with this DLC and on the BioWare blog. So it's actually comparable to the weapon I'm using here, and that's why I wanted to discuss it with this specific playthrough instead of on my other video. It's like the Matic, except it just doesn't have as much kick. It also has a bigger clip. If you're trying to compare it to a real-world, real-life rifle, I would say it's along the lines of the M14 in the United States military. I think that's the most fair comparison. But until I get my hands on it, I really can't talk about specifications and how effective it is. So we'll move on to the next weapon. Next, you have the Geth Plasma SMG, another line to the Geth Plasma weapons. And the Geth Plasma SMG is, exactly as you think it. I've heard it's pretty accurate. It looks exactly like the Geth shotgun and Geth Plasma rifle. So now you're going to have 3 Geth devices. So if you're a big Geth fanatic, you can get one of the new Geth characters and play with all Geth weapons. I plan on doing that because I'm that kind of person. But anyway. As far as I know, it's fairly accurate, equivalent to that of the Tempest, but I think it actually does have a charge ability, which is interesting for an SMG. And if it doesn't, I apologize. This is just, going off what video content I have seen for the Resurgence DLC pack. Third off, you have my favorite of the 3 weapons. This is the Coral Harpoon Gun. Now, this is a Batarian weapon. I'm not sure if it's going to be an assault rifle or a sniper rifle, but basically it's a single-shot Batarian rifle, and this shoots literally a massive harpoon into the enemy. It is literally the harpoon gun. Now you're going to have to cock back every time. You're going to have to pull the bolt back, which is unfortunate, but I think it'll still be a very effective weapon. It does have a scope on it based on the footage we saw in the Resurgence DLC trailer earlier, but it's pretty deadly, and a cool thing that they included, because you do have the 2 new Batarian characters, and they have all these different spike abilities. If you haven't seen my other video, I'll talk about the Batarians here for a second. They're actually my favorite race that they added with this pack, and I'm really excited to get my hands on one of them as soon as they update the servers where I can buy some of the packs. The Batarians and I think why they added the Crawl Harpoon Gun, is because they're very brutal as a race. Their heavy melee attack looks like a wrist-mounted shotgun almost. They have the Sentinel class has a net ability which pins an enemy to the ground and shocks him to death, which is pretty crazy. And they also have something called Blade Armor, and I'm not really sure how it's going to function, but I do know the Soldier and the Sentinel have it, so it is not tech armor. Until we hear more, though, I really can't talk about the Batarian abilities, so I apologize for that. Rest assured, though, if you are enjoying this commentary and you would like to see me discuss some more of the characters, you can like and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Anything you guys can do helps me out. I am currently not too well known, and I'd appreciate it if you guys would say, hey, if you enjoy my content, if you enjoy my Valence content, feel free to spread the word about me. Throw a link up on your page or whatever. I'd really appreciate it, guys. Also, you know, if you're looking for specific questions from me or would like to talk to me specifically about a class or my opinion on something, or maybe you would like to just talk about something in a vlog interview or something with me, and I would love that. I would love to have some guests on my YouTube channel. I do have guests all the time on my twitch.tv live stream, which is great. I love it when you guys join me on the stream. But if you're interested in that, you can check out my Facebook page. The link will be at the end of this video, but it's facebook.com/avalance.fanpage, and email me there via the messages, and I'll be sure to get to you as soon as I can. Anyway, though, let's go back. Now that I've kind of finished up the commentary on the weapons, I actually would like to discuss this map. This is Firebase Condor. As you can see, it's a very terrain-based map. It's based off of the single-player map, and when you're in the beginning, and you're going to the Turian homeworld to find the Primarch. Now, this is one of the Turian moons, and you are fighting on the moon against the Reapers in the game. So I felt that you know, my enemy choice was very quaint. But as you can see, there's atmosphere in this map as well, that's one thing I talked about with Firebase Hydra. There's a lot of atmosphere. You see what's going on around you. If you look up in the video, you'll see right there in the top of the video screen, there are planes flying around the Turian fighters, as well as tons of other things that are flying around, doing combat around you, which is great. The one thing I did enjoy is how they actually have, this is a Turian outpost, so you actually have some of the walls, some of the outposts, the vehicles, the screens, and everything that you would see on a Turian military planet. So it makes you feel like you're actually fighting in this military installation, which is great. It really immerses you, especially if you played the single player and enjoyed the Turian mission as much as I did. So you see the screens around you. It's a pretty open area. I like to think of it as a square. In the south of the square, you have the area I'm in now, which is the mining site. As well as south of the mining site, there's a small landing pad. And where I'm going up to now is actually one of my favorite pieces of the map. It's a hill, just a gigantic hill. And if you're a extremely big fan of sniper rifles, this hill's definitely for you. You'll see me go up to it a few times with my Maddox, but it doesn't really do it justice unless you have a heavy sniper rifle. Now, with the sniper rifles, you go up there, you have a great vantage point. You have a clear view over the entirety of the mining site, and most of the enemies actually filter out of this area I'm at now into the mining site behind me. Easy pickings. Even on the other side, the upper area does extend to the other side, so you can actually snipe down on these platforms and stuff, which is fantastic. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear this, but if you can, I apologize. My dog is running around like crazy, so sorry to ruin the professionalism there. It is a commentary, right? Anyway, though, so back to the game. You know, again, this isn't my favorite of the two maps. I would definitely say my favorite is Firebase Hydra, just due because it's a different, refreshing kind of scene, a different kind of refreshing landscape. But, you know, enjoyable nonetheless. This is a great map, especially for snipers. You see I'm going up here again, aiming up the hill. That hill is just perfect for you snipers. I'm a big fan of sniping. I love using my Widow and my Quarian Infiltrator, you know. So I may try it again with the Geth Infiltrator when I do get my hands on that character. But you can see it's just a great vantage point for sniping and phenomenal area to do it. Up there you see some fighters engaged in combat. But you see multiple bases around, and the vista is fantastic. I really did enjoy the vista here. You feel like, you know, you see the combat going on all around you, which is awesome. But I mean, that's really it. We're sitting on the mining site right now, and you can see there's some mining equipment off to my right. But I mean, that's really all you're gonna see there. The area is actually phenomenal. I do love the area that they put in here. You see me running from a Banshee here. I hate those Banshees, even in Bronze League. You know, you gotta focus fire to take them down. Unless you're gonna be cheap and use a missile launcher. I actually do that later in the video. I pull it out because I was like, oh, I'm on lunch break. I really don't want to deal with this Banshee, and I gotta go to class soon. So I was gonna missile it, but someone actually did the job for me, which was great. I'm running so low on missiles lately. I've been trying to do some Gold League stuff, you know. Oh, it's a headache. I finally just got the achievement to beat all of the Gold League missions. And let me tell you, that is not an easy achievement. It takes a lot of dedication and a lot of fist pounding, of, you know, in frustration. to even deal with it. But it's definitely the cool achievement to have. You know, I'm interested to see how the Batarians work, though. This is something I talked about in my other video. I'm going to keep talking about in the commentary here, because I'm actually curious to see how they work. Those of you who've watched my other montage videos, I did a few montages. I actually had one for the Best of the Citadel competition that BioWare hosted in the beginning of March. Still haven't found out if I was a finalist yet. They said they were going to talk about it at PAX East, but you know, whatever. And by the way, if you happen to know about any of that and you would like to let me know, please do so. I've been waiting to figure it out, and I've been searching the blog and everything, so maybe I'm just missing something. But if you know anything about the Best of the Citadel winners, post a comment. I'd really appreciate that. But as you know, back to my point, as you guys know, I love the Turian Sentinel. This is one of my favorite characters because of his racial abilities, which boost his shield and his weapon accuracy, which is awesome. It means I can pull out the Matic and have my armor piercing and my extended magazines without having to waste something on a stabilizer, because the Turian racial actually stabilizes that. I also love the ability combo sets. The armor, the Sentinel armor is fantastic. I mainly buff protection. You see I'm not really blowing it up. I just like having the extra protection, because while Turian shields are extremely strong, I think up in the 1.3k range if you max out their abilities, their health is very weak. And that is the one weak point that I did not enjoy with the Turians. But with the tech armor, it counters that by adding 25% damage resistance. Love that combat slide on a little notation. I love it. I always try to do it when I'm hitting cover. But I do love the Turian, and the idea that you have the tech armor, you also have Overload and Warp. My favorite abilities actually are Overlord and Warp, and many people are like, oh, you know, why do you not enjoy some of the Adept abilities, such as Singularity or Pull or anything like that? Really, I like Overload and Warp combined because they're an effective thing, and I'm a big weapons guy. As I was talking about, again, in my previous video commentary, I'm a big fan of weapons, and I've always played a soldier, right? Because they were the only class that could weld the assault rifle. And now that all classes can weld the assault rifle, I've started to experiment with some different builds. One of these being my Turian Sentinel, which I think is one of my favorite builds. So, with my Turian Sentinel build, I spec about halfway into tech armor to get that 25% damage protection, because it is great to have. I also spec entirely into their two passive trees to get my shield maxed out and my weapon stability and damage maxed out, which is really helpful, especially with single-shot rifles such as the Matic. Also, you know, I go into Overload, and I actually fully spec out Overload. And many people have said, you know, why don't you spec it entirely for strict damage? Well, I actually like the Chain Overload because it allows me to stun multiple enemies. As you see, you'll see me doing it multiple times here, especially when I'm out of ammo with the Matic, because they do run out pretty quick. I like to stun multiple enemies and then finish them off with my Predator pistol. I still am a big fan of the Predator. Call me retro or old school, but I love the Predator pistol, still my favorite. But Overload's nice because it stuns 1 enemy, 2 enemies, and 3 enemies as soon as you rank it up. It's also extremely effective against shields that way, because it'll knock out 3 or 4 shields, even in gold, which is great. Also, you see me using Warp here. Now, Warp is not one of my maxed out abilities. You can only max out 3 abilities, and, you know, I do prefer to max out my passive. See those Ravagers just taking out my health. That's why I enjoy having that tech armor. I would have been dead there. But why do I even use Warp then? If you guys, you know, watch my other commentary video covering Firebase Hydra, for example, with my soldier, I maxed out the 2 passive abilities for weapon damage and shielding, and then I go into the Frag Grenade and the Adrenaline Rush trees and spend all my points there. Maxing out those 2 abilities and completely ignoring Concussive Shot, just because I'm that gun guy. I like those builds. And a lot of people, you know, that I've played live streams with and even gamed with have said, you know, why even touch Warp at all if you're going to max out Overload? Why not max out Tech Armor? Well, Warp is effective in the sense that, yeah, it doesn't do a whole lot of armor damage unless you buff it up all the way through all the multiple tiers. However, I do enjoy it because you can go halfway into Warp. I think it's the 4th tier of abilities, or the 5th maybe. And this actually increases weapon damage by targets who are warped. So whenever I, encounter an armored target, I'll throw out a warp, and I have 10 or 15 seconds of an extra 25% weapon damage, which is phenomenal, especially on some of those bigger targets, like the Banshees. You'll often see me running in, if I'm playing on a class that does have warp, and throwing in warp on those Banshees just to help me take down their shields with my rifles. So pretty excited about that. And just talking about my build here a little bit with the Turian Sentinel. Now, the only thing that I really don't enjoy with the Turians is the idea that they cannot combat roll side to side. Front and back really doesn't matter too much. The only thing that's frustrating for me is that they can't combat roll. And why is that so frustrating? Well, if the other NPC Turians, could not combat roll, then it wouldn't be a problem. I mean, even, the animations there, you just saw me do it from cover to cover. And the animations there in the main story, as well as when you're fighting the Reapers here. You'll notice that the Reapers equivalent, the Marauders, are turned to Turians, right? And the Marauders actually combat roll all the time. So it's frustrating that you don't have that with the Turian races. Maybe they'll change it. I doubt they will, but we'll see. Here's that missile moment I talked about earlier in the video where I pull it out, I'm like, I can't deal with this Banshee, but another guy did it for me. The extraction point is up here on Firebase Condor. I'm not sure if it always is up here. I feel like it's the only extraction point besides the landing pad down to the south of the map, but it is here nonetheless. So that's that. And we're going to hold out for another minute and 14 seconds here. Last time, I'm going to give you a little advertisement. Please like and subscribe to me if you enjoy my videos and my commentary. Anything you can do helps. I also appreciate it if you link my sites, whether it be my Facebook page or my YouTube or my live stream to some of your friends. If you enjoy a casual gaming environment with some decent commentary and insight, I would appreciate it if you would spread my channel around. But remember, subscribe and all of that jazz. I really appreciate it, and as many people who have already subscribed to me know, I am very user-friendly in the sense that if you have a question, comment, or concern, you can Facebook message me, and I will get back to you as soon as possible and hopefully answer your question, or even help you with that question. A couple of my fans can actually praise to that. I helped solve a World of Warcraft issue. Also, if you have any positive, constructive feedback on my videos, I take it into account, and I appreciate all you can do. So check out the links, guys. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of Firebase Condor, and remember to check out Firebase Hydra, as well as some class videos that'll be coming out later this week. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Avi out.